Hey guys, this is a video showcasing my persistent storage logic. I did record it once and then the audio was crackling, so I'll go through it again. What I've got here is, in a previous video you'll probably remember me talking about the level count if you saw it. So the first time you come to a level, auto generate these starting items from like a chance. The second and subsequent time, pull from the game instance rather than generating it again. And then an extra bit around every time you add or remove an item from the storage, trigger this to make it persistent between the game instance, which feeds to also the saves, and also the actual game level at that point in time. So I won't go over the level count too much because I did that pretty good in that video. That's a quick video anyway. But what's going on here is when you load up a level the first time, and it's got a storage container in it, then generate the starting items if the starting items is true. Currently, it's hard coded all to be 100% chance because I just wanted to make sure it would work with like things always appearing. Essentially, I had to fix some like mini bug. So yeah, generate the starting items. After you've generated the starting items, iterate through the starting items list. Well, structure, array, array, structure, array structure. One of those two. Feed each one of those elements from those starting items to the game instance storage items. I then, let's say you get it, I'll showcase it with the video as well after. You get it, you've got them, great, you leave the level, you come back, well this is now greater than 1. So then this fires true, then it goes, okay, so you've been in here before, so instead of generating the items, I'm going to look at the game instance version of these items, so this element that you've already created. I'm going to look in this array and see where well this is a master blueprint, this is a parent, the children are these, so that's the parent, these are the children. So Dresser, Large, Barry, Jackie, John. So when I do self get class, I'm saying get the class of this particular instance, the child of the child's instance of this blueprint, and where that match is true, add those game instance, so those saved storage items, back into this storage. The reason for that is because if you've watched a few games instance videos, you'll understand that every time you start a level, it wipes your wipes the default blueprints variables in your blueprints, but the game instance doesn't. It's persistent, and yeah, that's why I feed it to the game instance. So then I pull it from the game instance back into the storage. So then the second time you're in the level, the items persist. It doesn't RNG randomly generate them again. And then inside the storage blueprint, I have this update script where I tell it whenever this custom event is fired, then do update container. Update container is that third element I discussed in the master blueprint. What this is here, where is it gone? This custom event fires every time something is removed or something is added. So every time it's removed or added, fire this. Look at the game instance's stored items, where again the class is matched. So dresser large John equals dresser large John within the game instance. So a subsection of the wider variable, not just the whole array variable. Where that's true, remove the items from just that section, and then remove the index. I had to put remove index in because it was having like a trailing index issue for some bizarreness. You know, sometimes things start at 0, sometimes things start at 1. I think it's some oddity there. So sticking it right at the end to just remove the indexes after clears that up. After you've done that, so after you've wiped the game instance version of the stored items for this instance, then look at the items currently on the stored instance and iterate through and feed those back into the game instance. This means that when you remove something or when you add something, it wipes it, adds it, wipes it, adds it. There's no duplication, there's no missing things, there's no extra scripts for just when you add it, just when you remove it. It's like a universal script. Adds it back in, and yeah, as you see, self get class feeds that back in as I would say the best way to describe it would be like a unique identifier. So you know these storage items array you've got here. This is broken up by the instances. So that's what it's doing. If I show you in just proper terms, like visual terms, on the left you've got the game instance. You see it's repetitive, so there's only three rows repeating. When I come into contact of like the radius of the collision radius of that dresser just in front of us there, that will fire container, and you see container and game instance match exactly. So if I get everything out of there, container is wiped. That's a weird, there's something to do with the debug where the container just haven't got it triggering right. But the most important thing is the game instance is wiped, because that's the important thing. Because when I leave this room and I come back, the game instance is the only thing that's persistent, and you see the container matches this time. It's just that's a debug quirk. It does functionally work fine with the container at a moment in time. So there we go, it's wiped. Okay, so but that's just one instance. How do we know it's going to work with like the Barry and the Jackie ones? So let's put in the medkit in the final slot there. See, it's added it in the game instance. We'll leave this room. That will add it into the container. So the next time I come into contact, it will add it to the container. There we go. So let's go to the other rooms. So let's go to Jackie's room. Jackie has what she got. So the same again here, because I've done 100% chance of it to appear. So I'll come into contact. Container pops up for Jackie. All three items. Let's chuck some of these away. Let's get everything in. Let's leave a handgun in the second slot. Let's walk away. I'm not even, I don't need to go back to trigger it with the radius. It doesn't need to be the same instance, so I don't need to worry about going back into the level to make it persistent. Let's go to Barry's. Barry again has the same setup. Numbers will be different. That's not 100% chance. That's a min and max rand, but 100% chance just the items will appear. So let's get everything in there, and let's put 13 wire in the first slot. So the way we know it's persistent now is those three instances I discussed. Let's go into this one. It's the medkit in the last. Was it medkit in last slot? Yeah, medkit in last slot. Let's go to. Let's mix it up. Let's go to Barry. 13 wire in the first slot, and let's go to Jackie. Handgun in the second slot. So this means that my storage is persistent on the master, on the parent. Each of my storage containers will be some iterative instance of this. Whether it's going to have less slots, whether it's going to look different, it will still behave identically to this. So this means that I've now cracked persistent storage to go alongside like the persistent inventory. A bit of background why this was so much harder than the persistent inventory is inventory is one thing, so it's just mine. If I had characters with their own inventory different to me, other than me, then they would have the same sort of challenge. But inventory is one thing, so I don't need to create an instance specific unique identifier. Meanwhile, with storage, you saw it's it's not unique. I need instance identifiers. Otherwise, every time I went to uh, Barry or Jackie or any storage that wasn't the current storage, it would just hold the same items. It would work like the Resident Evil magical chests, where doesn't matter which one you open up, they all store the same thing. Great for that sort of logic. Terrible if we want to have containers that are all uniquely instanced. So I had to go into here, just if you're interested in a bit of like the background to do it. All the slots behave like the inventory slots. So I'll just drag it in. All behave with a class and amount. The stored storage one has that inventory slot for the class and the amount, this one, but it also has an extra variable to look at the master storage container blueprint class, and that is how I create the instance to differentiate between them. So that self get class logic here, that's what that's doing. So you see I am feeding that in. If I go to the starting items, when it does those items, yeah, it gets the item and the amount, great, but then I use self dot, so not dot get class, but self get class to feed that as a unique identifier in. So you might be thinking, oh, well, this is a master one, so surely it will always be master storage container blueprint. No, because because these are children, their class name overrides that class name. So when I run this randomly generate starting items RNG thing function, that self get class will be whichever instance has run on it, and that's how I managed to break it apart and make it unique. This would be it would also be a lot easier if when you do clear like that, if clear could behave where you see where the instances match, delete that little chunk, remove that little chunk there, that logic. If I could stick a clear there, that would make things a lot easier, but clear wipes the full thing. It's like doing like a set null. So that wasn't an option. So that's why I had to do a remove and then a remove index to get the trailing index. So this is a relatively detailed overview into how I do the storage. I've managed to get the storage persistent. All this, well, 90% of all this is like my own code, but the other code to do with the storage and the wider code comes from training videos from I've discussed them before in a couple of my other videos. It's called Unreal Game Dev. Game is spelled G-A-I-M-E. So I believe it's got 3 videos, 3 separate parts, 1, 2, and 3 for storage, specifically on the inventory playlist, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, don't jump ahead. Watch it, chronologically, numerically, and you'll be able to replicate this. Replicate this. I've created extra elements in just to say whether you've opened this thing before, do a different sprite, and all this persistent logic is my own. But that is a really good start. That guy is a really good start if you want to be able to create an inventory and storage. Yeah, best of luck. This is this is it. I've got a couple more sprites to change from version 2 to version 3 for my character. So, like version 3. So as you saw when you ran, it shrank, and that's because that's the version 2 sprite working on like 50 by 50 70 by 70 pixels rather than 140 by 140. So once I've upgraded those last couple of sprites, I'll finish this branch and I'll do a branch vlog. It won't be as in detail as this one, specifically looking at the storage, because I can just reference this video, but other elements will be more detail. I'll go through everything I've achieved in the branch. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully you found it interesting. Thank you.